Michael Jackson was the most famous artist on the planet, but his true charisma was not limited to dance moves or high notes. It came from something deeper, a mixture of shyness, sensitivity, and mystery. Before becoming the world's biggest star, Michael Jackson already drew attention for a curious detail. He was an extremely shy boy. Offstage, he spoke little, carried a sweet, almost withdrawn demeanor, and avoided exposing himself too much. But when the music began, something happened. That shyness vanished completely, and a magnetic presence emerged that captivated crowds. This contrast became one of the earliest marks of his charisma. Behind the scenes, Michael was delicate and even insecure, but on stage, he had the confidence of an adult, commanding the audience with ease, improvising moves, glances, and gestures that seemed instinctive. Teachers and peers remembered him as a polite but reserved child. Yet, when he sang, he seemed like another person, dominating the space as if he had been born for it. This paradox was intriguing from an early age. How could someone so quiet and shy suddenly overflow with energy and communicate so intensely with the public? That mystery was what created, already in childhood, Michael's magnetic aura. In the 1980s, Michael Jackson reached a level few artists in history ever achieved. With Thriller, he became the most famous man on the planet, crossing cultural, linguistic, and racial boundaries. Anywhere in the world, from Japan to Nigeria, his music played, and his image covered magazine covers. He was not just a celebrity, he was a global phenomenon. And precisely at this point, when anyone else might have given in to arrogance, Michael demonstrated a rare trait, humility. In interviews, he seldom spoke of himself as a genius or king, always attributing his success to greater forces, his faith, his family, and his fans. This humility was not just rhetorical, but practical. Michael constantly supported hospitals, orphanages, and underprivileged communities, often without press, without cameras. Documents and testimonies confirm that he quietly donated millions, visiting sick children, funding medical research, and creating support projects. For him, being famous did not mean being above others, but rather having the responsibility to use his influence for good. At the same time, his relationship with fans was marked by profound respect. While other artists built barriers, Michael drew closer. He wrote letters, stopped cars to greet people, held hands in crowds, gestures that showed he never saw himself as unreachable. This behavior reinforced the feeling that, despite being the greatest, he remained simple and accessible.
As Mr. Jackson, what would you say to all your fans that have dreams and goals of being a star like you?
No matter what, the most powerful thing in the world is the human mind, and prayer, and belief in yourself, and confidence, and perseverance. No matter how many times you do it again until it's right. And always believe in yourself, and no matter who's around you that's being negative or thrusting negative energy at you, totally block it off. Because whatever you believe, you become. Yes, and after all of that, the most important, stay humble. The humbleness that a child, like a newborn baby, has. Even though you become powerful or have power with people, with your talent, or with what Michelangelo did with sculpting, underneath all that, be as humble as a child, as a baby, and as kind and giving and loving.
During the peak of the 1980s and 1990s, the standard of masculinity in entertainment was still marked by rigidity, strong, virile men, distant from vulnerability. The dominant model was one of unshakable confidence, aggressiveness, and often insensitivity. Michael Jackson broke that rule. He brought to the center of pop culture a new image of manhood, delicate, romantic, sensitive, and yet irresistibly charismatic. On stage, Michael was simultaneously powerful and fragile. His gaze could be piercing and seductive in one moment, and the next, sweet and shy. This oscillation was not weakness. It was precisely what made his presence magnetic. He allowed the public to see in him something rare, a man capable of expressing deep feelings without fear of appearing vulnerable. His lyrics reinforced this side. Songs like I Just Can't Stop Loving You or You Are Not Alone revealed a man who loved intensely, who cried, who admitted loneliness. It was a bold stance, especially from someone carrying the title King of Pop. Instead of hiding emotions, Michael exposed them as part of his art. This sensitivity, however, did not erase his strength. In songs like Beat It or They Don't Care About Us, he showed firmness, leadership, even righteous anger against social injustices. Michael moved between tenderness and indignation, proving that masculinity does not need to be linear or limited. Visually, he also challenged norms. His style blended elements considered masculine, such as military jackets, boots, high-impact choreography, with soft gestures, sparkling outfits, makeup, and carefully styled hair. This fusion created a unique aesthetic, questioning rigid boundaries between masculine and feminine. It is no surprise that Michael inspired an entire generation to rethink what it means to be a man. He showed that a man can wear makeup and still be a symbol of desire. He can cry and still be respected. He can be gentle without ceasing to be strong. More than an artist, Michael became a cultural reference for alternative masculinity. He left the public with a timeless message. Being a man does not mean being tough all the time. It means having the courage to be human. By the late 2000s, Michael Jackson was no longer just an artist. He was a living myth, but he was also a deeply fragile man. After decades of exposure, legal battles, accusations, surgeries, and the weight of isolation, Michael seemed to carry in his body and soul the marks of a life under the spotlight. Many saw him as broken, depressed, distant from the brilliance of the past. And then came the announcement of his comeback tour. This is it. 50 shows in London, a triumphant farewell that could rewrite his public narrative. The world waited with curiosity. Would Michael still have the strength? Would he still be able to transmit that same overwhelming charisma? The rehearsal footage, later shown in the documentary released after his death, brought the answer. What appeared on stage was not an exhausted star, but the same Michael Jackson who had hypnotized crowds in the 1980s and 1990s. As the beat started, he transformed. His eyes sparkled. His body seemed commanded by the music, and every gesture radiated confidence, charm, and magnetism. It was as if the king had returned to his throne. Even more impressive was his demeanor off the microphone. Backstage, Michael was affectionate, polite, always calling musicians, backing vocalists, and dancers by name. He corrected tiny details, but never arrogantly. He repeated, "It's all for love," like a mantra, reminding everyone that this wasn't just work, it was sharing. He hugged, laughed, gave thanks. His relationship with the crew showed that even as the greatest star in the room, he never placed himself above anyone.
You guys, I gotta tell you this. When I'm trying to hear and it feels like somebody's fist is pushed into my ear, it's really very difficult. I know you mean well, but I'm trying to adjust to the inner ears, okay? With the love, L-O-V-E.
That genuine respect amplified his charisma. The public already loved him for his talent, but the team admired him for his humanity. Amid physical pain and immense pressure, Michael radiated both delicacy and leadership. Michael Jackson's final magnetism cannot be reduced to nostalgia for the past. He proved in his last days of rehearsal that his charisma was not the product of youth, fame, or marketing. Even in fragility, Michael transmitted the same force he possessed at his peak. And perhaps that is the true secret. His light did not come only from his body or voice, but from a spirit that never stopped believing in the power of music, art, and love. In the This Is It rehearsals, we saw for the last time the shy boy. It was the epilogue of a charisma that, even in the face of the end, continued to reign.